Among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my Independence Report. Welcome, everybody, to perhaps beginning to be one of my favorite segments of the week, which is Transient. It's somebody and somebody else. No, it's Transient, and that is Eric Hall over there. And
hi there.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing, Kevin?
Good. You know, as always happens in my life, unique things come to my mind, and suddenly I have to play them out. And so this is one of those. And you know nothing about what I'm about to do, so this is a surprise for you.
I love surprises,
and it'll be fun. First of all, I got to say, my Independence Report. Please subscribe to it. Go and like it and enjoy the things that I do, because I talk to an amazing. Did I say amazing amount of really cool people, authors and psychics and mediums and people that have done some really unique things. And one of the reasons why I was thinking about this as we were getting ready to come on the air, you're the only one that has no agenda at all.
No, I don't. Except one thing. Hello, Kenya.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that.
Well, I've always wanted to say hello, Kenya, and I understand that you have people in Kenya that listen to your show. You get so many downloads a week in Kenya, which I think is absolutely wonderful.
It is.
So I would just like to take a moment and say hi, Kenya.
I
love your food.
Are you really? Except they've got snakes there.
Yeah, I've heard that. Big snakes too.
Yeah, I had a friend that, he works at South Base, and he's from Kenya, and he tells me, now other people have said that's not possible, but he tells me that they have a pet cobra.
A pet cobra? Why?
Because it didn't want to leave, I guess, and so rather than it's getting mad at them, they said, okay, well, come on in. You know, you can take care of the mice and stuff, and we'll just leave you alone and
stay out of your way.
Exactly. Another reason why I'm not going to Kenya.
Yeah, man. This is why I love the Northwest. We really don't have anything to worry about.
No, we really don't. But the reason that, you know, because of the fact that this is a couple things, it's the middle of the week. I've already done some podcasts this week. I put some up, and but because it's the middle of the week, and you have taken an active interest in some of the things that I'm doing and the people that I'm interviewing. So yeah. I want to know if you, as being an innocent bystander, have any questions about some of the things that we've talked about, or think that some of them are a little bit out there. What's your honest opinion?
My honest opinion, I love the variety that you do and the positive nature that you present all of your show. You know, I mean, the guests that you get, they're all positive in nature. They have something to add to the positive nature of humanity, because let's face it, there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of drawbacks about being human that seems to be emphasized in our day-to-day lives. And the great thing about, you know, My Independence Report is that it's a breath of fresh air, because it's a nice insight into the nice things that we can and should be doing for each other.
Well, I'll give you an example. This week we've already talked about Michael Newton's book, Life Between, it's Journey of Souls, which is about life between lives. We've talked about bipolar. We've talked about grief, and amongst other things. So it's a pretty wide ranging discussion. But the reason I like having it with you is because you live in the normal, real world. Let me take that back. I don't know if it's the normal world. But
very few people accuse me of that. You know, this is why I really like being here. You say things like that.
Well, you live in the real world of what it's like every day in our society because you have to because you drive a bus for King County Metro.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I walk away at the end of the day thinking that I'm in the normal part of the world.
Exactly. Well, you
know,
are what you are because I drove bus for 11 years, and so I know where you are. You are a cross between normalcy and the weird shit that goes on a bus on a regular basis. You're kind of that conduit between the two worlds.
yeah, yeah. It's and there are really two worlds happening out there. Or I should say, there might be more than two worlds happening out there, but there is a distinct difference between the people that are living in the streets and the people that are not. And the people that are not may have their issues with each other, but the people that are living in the streets have a whole separate world to them. And you see little things that they struggle with that you and I probably would never think of. For instance, I was driving down Third Avenue and I was at James Street. And there's this woman that I see often. In fact, I've seen her before when she's wearing two pairs of shoes. One, she's got sneakers on her feet, and then she's got sandals that strap up to, mid mid height on her, just below her knees, that are off to the side, dragging on the ground as she walks. And she struggles with whatever reality that she comes in and out on. And she was with this gentleman, and they were going through the garbage and separating the garbage in a very interesting way that was either recyclable, which I thought was amazingly astute.
Yep.
Amazingly astute. They were going through the garbage and separating what was recyclable and what was not. And then they put it all back in again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was this a garbage bin by a grocery store or someplace where they no?
No, it was down at 3rd and James, so it would have been across the street from the court building. And then there's some kind of residence on this west side of the street, and the east side is the legal building, the court building. So it was just fascinating to sit there and watch them. And that street there, that's where people hang out because of that residence, and they get they get state subsidies, and who knows, what else they get. But the way they spend their time is so different from what you and I and most of us that probably are listening right now do, and why they felt determined to empty the garbage can and break it up into something recyclable and then go back and put it back into the garbage can is beyond me. But
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very intense about it, and she was determined to do it correctly.
Well, we all got to do something with our day, and if you don't have a like a job, or you don't have anything meaningful to do, then you can pick your own thing that's meaningful. And they can, sitting by the fire that night, they could talk about all the things that they found. And I guess I don't know. The one thing that I've always wondered about is homeless people. How can I say this relatively delicately? Okay, I can't. So, picture, if you will, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're in your tent. You don't have a porta potty nearby because they planned for not having a porta potty nearby. So, where do you poop?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know what they do, but it's
What? Well, okay, and what do they do?
well, I've seen them, walk into the middle of the street and do it right in the middle of the street. I've seen others, they've actually got a bowl or they've got, some sort of place where that they go and then save it for the morning and then take it wherever, or bags, or, leave it as it is.
The one story that I did hear is, those 5-gallon buckets, the white buckets that pickles and stuff comes in for restaurants.
Yeah.
I've heard of some of them ingeniously buying a bag of kitty litter and putting kitty litter at the bottom of this thing, and then use that to go pee or do whatever they have to do. I just think that you must have, if you're going poop in that thing, you have incredible aim. That's all.
Wow.
So,
well, I've seen those camping solutions where they've got the camping seat on those buckets.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So it's a whole different world that you live in, but at the same time, it's also a normal world that you live in. And and I live in a completely different type of world, because most of the people that I talk to on a daily basis are really driven, are passionate about what they do. They've either got a book or what they're talking about. And it really is an uplifting thing for me. How does a bus driver, and I know how I did it, but how does a bus driver, specifically the one named Eric, how does he keep a positive attitude when he's doing this 45 hours a week? Besides that,
this is tobacco, by the way. You have to have a thick, thin skin. And I write about it from time to time when I just get fed up. I just get fed up with what I see. And I come home, I close the door, and I have to see something that I can laugh at, a sitcom, or sometimes I just have to go out and see something elegant. Have to take myself out to a really nice place for dinner, go to an art gallery, go to a museum, see something where people put some positive energy into their life and produce something really fine, rather than see people, and God help them, because there's probably a reason why they're in that state. And I understand that. So please understand me when I say this. But when you see people every day that accept the circumstances for what they are, for whatever reason it is, as an observer, I need to get away from that and appreciate people that put in effort into producing something of higher effort, which to me, in my mind, means, fine art, fine dining, sometimes an excellent a book, a boutique with fancy wares, great homeware, whatever it is, fine living. I love architecture. So a walk, in some great neighborhood, those things with wonderful landscaping, those things work for me. It's a reminder that there is a place where your efforts are rewarded in some aesthetic way.
I noticed one thing that you didn't say is I like to go out and hang out with people after I get done driving the bus.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But there's also, because it's easy to complain.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate to subject people. Yeah, and sometimes it's a downer to complain to people all the time about what I've seen, which is why I probably don't write as much as I do about it, because to me it's just complaining about what I see. And really, what is the solution? We all know that whatever solution there is, do we really know what it is?
Apparently not in Seattle anyway.
Not in Seattle. I don't know of any culture, since cultures got large, that there's ever been a solution. I think the only responsible, I'm going out on a limb here, but I think the only responsible societies are ones that are small enough that every person counts in a real way.
No, I agree with you. Especially in some of the smaller countries in Europe, they have a completely different style or manner that they're going to run their country. I was talking with a gal yesterday about she's written a book about her life of having bipolar, And bipolar, which is used to be called manic depressive, now it's bipolar is the current term that they use. And without medication, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, and without medication, you cannot be normal. You cannot so you're going to go up and you're going to go down. Think of how many people that are on the street that need this medication, but because our society has taken the position that we're not going to help people like that, or we don't seem to, that they have really no choice. And that's where a lot of the manic depressive, you sometimes they're real up and sometimes they're really down, and that comes from. And there's not a thing that you as a bus driver or I could do anything about that.
We can just give them a ride, give them a transfer.
And that's but do people make you laugh on the bus?
Oh sure. Yeah, some people are comical even when they don't mean to be, and you have to be careful about that. But yeah, people sometimes it could be funny. Sometimes people are funny.
You have to be really careful. Now I want to talk go a little bit negative, a little not negative, but there's some things that have been happening lately in our world that are a little tough. And we experienced that last year. We did have one of our bus drivers who was shot, and two other people were killed in that scenario. So it was another mass shooting. How do you feel about two things: driving the bus with COVID, and then having to and being aware that somebody may come in with a gun?
Yeah. The gun thing is so random. I put it out of my mind. That's kind of what I do. I put it out of my mind because I figure in this country, gun violence is part of our life. It's stupid. We're not an advanced culture. We're not great the way we think we are. We're shamefully arrogant in the fact that guns are way out of control. And as we've witnessed, this week, what is there? 100 mass shootings this year, and we're only 80 some days into this year.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And you watch Congress and the senators bloviate the same words that they always do. I'm just disgusted by this whole thing. And you hear people talk about the Second Amendments that Democrats only want to take your guns away. This is just on their agenda. And Republicans, they want people to not lose any gun rights at all. We've heard this. I mean, you and I are both relatively the same age. We're in our 60s. We've heard this for at least 40 years since we started listening to news. I'm betting the people that are in their 20s and starting to hear the news and start to take it seriously. I bet 40 years from now when you're listening to news, I'll bet you're hearing the same things, the same sentences, thoughts and prayers that you're hearing now. And, is there a solution? Yeah, there is, but it would be extreme. It would be extreme. And Americans aren't going to give that up. We have two things in America that we're passionate about above all else: guns, which is easier to get than it is to vote. We've established that. And we love our cars. And, I think it's cool to love cars. I love cars. But those are the two things. And the other thing that we don't talk about, we dance around the subject way too much. Nobody's flat out saying it. Way out of proportion. So far out of proportion. The statistics are clear. White males are the mass shooters. They are so quick to say that they're crazy and they're out of their mind, which might be true. But, And this is not a but, it is a fact. There is a reason why that the mass shooters are white
Mhm.
and that they're crazy. There is a reason that something has driven them crazy and doing mass shooting. And what those things are, there's probably numerous things, but we know it's media and we can put names to it. We can say right-wing media is pushing fear. We can say right-wing media is pushing that the Democrats want to take away their guns. We can say that left-wing media is pushing that that the right-wing people are dangerous because of their guns, which feeds the fear of right-wing media. So we can say the left wing takes a little bit of blame, but preponderously, it is right-wing media because those are largely white males. And until we define it as a white male crime, we're not going to make any movement. And how soon are we going to define it as a white male crime?
I have no idea. But I will tell you, I will tell you this: there were 2 mass shootings this week. One killed 8, one killed 10.
Mhm.
Both of the shooters survived.
That's the other thing. However, this time we made progress because nobody bought that mass shooter a burger.
That's very true. We have 300 million guns in this country. We have more guns than we have people, it seems. And we've got people that are interested in, well, as an example, one of the things that I never understood, and you're going to have to explain it to me. I drove bus for 11 years. I called in one day because there was a guy standing at the bus stop. He had a 9mm on his hip.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. That's what I said.
Okay.
So he had a 9mm on his hip and he was standing at the bus stop. So I called it in because I never had somebody openly carry that. I had to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to let them on the bus or not. And I said to the coordinator as I was pulling up to the bus stop, I have a guy at the bus stop who's wearing a 9mm on his hip. Do I have to let him in? And they said, is he waving the gun around? No. It is on his hip. It's in a holster on his hip.
What a
Then you
relief.
can't deny him access.
Yeah.
You can't deny man because this is an open carry state, and so therefore you cannot deny a man with a gun access. However, if a guy's car stops in the parking lot and he has to walk 3 miles or 4 miles to the nearest auto parts store because his battery died, and then he picks up a new battery. And then he decides that's too far to walk with a battery that weighs 50 pounds. I know, I'll take the bus. I can't let him on.
For the battery?
For a battery.
I thought it was because it's combustible?
Because the battery is combustible. As well as with, I had a guy that had just bought a weed whacker. It was a gasoline-powered weed whacker, and you could see that the gasoline that was half full of gasoline, and I couldn't let him on the bus. But a guy with an AK-47, come on in. It's it's nice to see if anybody you don't like. I just think that's just we as a society have got our priorities a little screwed up that way. Because I really think that I've seen. I don't know about you, but I've seen what the suicide does to a head. To somebody's brain.
Oh my God!
I've also
seen that.
Yeah, me too. But my brother-in-law also committed suicide because he had weapons in his possession.
Oh
He had
God!
a really bad day, and his wife had died, and he was having a tough time. And something came up, and he said, excuse the expression, "Fuck it, I'm done," and he killed himself. So we as a society have to decide who we are, and that's why I call this declaring our freedom from hate, division, and fear, because we can't live in fear and we can't promote fear and division and hate anymore.
No, we've reached our limit. It's so obvious we've reached our limit. It's either survive or not survive on so many levels. The attempted takeover on January 6th, that was the sign to me that we're at the breaking point.
Yep.
No question about it. We're at the breaking point.
And so what I want people to know is that this podcast is about getting rid of hate, division, and fear. Follow us, subscribe to us. Let's make this a movement. Make it grow into something that so that people can understand why living in hate, division, and fear is not the way to go. It's not, and that we are all one, that we're all together and we're all the same people, whether we be white, black, doesn't matter, or Asian, or that the first shooting last week, 8 Asian women were killed. It's like, I can't, and they were saying, wow, we don't think it's a hate crime. It's like, now wait a minute.
In the rise of attacks on Asians lately is up, over 100%. Since the coronavirus, and frankly, since the prior administration, Trump was talking about it as the China virus, as a kung flu, crap like that. This is, defining it as China's fault, defining it as Asians' fear the Asians, hate the Asians. Again, we went through this in World War II. It's obnoxious. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. And people talk about making America great again. This is just, it's bullshit. It's got to end. And what more is needed? This is the statement of the year. Like I said before, say what you want about Biden. I think this is his time. And he's come up with, so far in my mind, the statement of the year when he said, Neanderthal thinking has to end.
He's right.
He's right. He didn't call anybody a Neanderthal like the right wing tried to paint it. He said Neanderthal thinking. And that is exactly what's going on when they talk about Kung flu or China virus or stop the Democrats from taking our guns. They're talking about common sense gun control, background checks. It's easier to buy a gun than it is to vote. If you want to drive a car, it's more complicated to get a license than it is to buy a gun. I used to be a gun owner. Mm-hmm. When I was living in Monroe out in the woods, I went and got a gun because of the wildlife. And I had an issue with some people out there, and where I was living, if there's people coming out to the property that you're on, they're coming out there for a reason.
Ding, 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 ding.
Exactly. I'm not going to be squealing like a pig. Nobody's got to want to do that.
My boys, he's got a pretty mouth there on him. We can go talk about that if you like. That'd be fun for today.
So I bought a shotgun, which is, pretty mild weapon when, we're talking about an AK-47, and it's probably the best security weapon you can get because of that click. Everybody recognizes that. So you don't even need ammunition at the time. You just have to cock it.
That's when the bladder generally goes.
That's right. And I never had to use it, but I confess that, I felt better that I had it because there were cougar and there were bear and, there were humans that, that why would they be on some property that doesn't look safe to be on, except for people that know that you shouldn't, except for people that know they can be there.
Because there's nobody else around, and so it's just, if they're looking for somebody to get, then it's just you versus them.
That's right.
I've been around a while, like you have, and mm-hmm. I've had several neighbors that have had home invasions.
Yeah.
Well, help me understand this. had 2 doors down was somebody that had a catering business. They had a truck. It was actually a catering truck. They had a truck and they would go park it someplace. They would cook lunches for people and do that sort of thing. And then they'd come back.
Cool.
Okay. They were Asian and they had a really going concern. Well, because they would work all day really hard. It's hard work to do that, by the way. They would work really hard all day. They would bring their truck home, park it, and the receipts from the day would go in the house with them because the banks were closed. And so they thought, hey, I got an idea. We should probably buy some guns to protect the money that we have coming in every day. And said, okay, that's a good idea. So they went and bought some guns. Well, then the word got out that, hey, there are 2 things in that house. There's money and there's guns.
Oh no.
And so people came and
Oh no.
did a home invasion and took the guns, took the money, and fortunately didn't hurt anybody badly. But we have, so it just drives me crazy that I've lived in my house, in various houses, for 40 years. I've never had anybody try and do a home invasion, principally because they know I ain't got shit. So I don't have anything worth coming to steal because there's nothing there to steal. So, I don't.
Been invaded twice. When I was in town, when I live in town, I had a guy come into my bedroom. It was probably when I was living at high school. I was in high school. And a guy came in my bedroom window. And my bed was underneath the window, and he was standing on my bed, straddle-legged. And I just kicked up my leg, and I kicked him in the balls. And he grabbed his balls, and he fell back out the window. that was one.
How far did he fall out the window?
Well, it was just one story, but I did hear. Fuck. I heard him run off. That was good.
Oh, good for you! Congratulations.
Good. And then a few months later, a guy came in our back door, and I chased him out the front door with a hockey stick. But that was in town, and I felt, that I knew people. When I moved out to Monroe, I was out of my element, because that's a whole different.
Yep.
Those people have guns. Those people are a different. I'm not saying bad things about good people in Monroe. I'm saying, things about hillbillies, that do live in these woods, that have a different mindset, that they don't mess around. They just know how to kill, or they know how to maim, or they know what to do. And I don't have a clue. So there's a time. Yeah, there's a time to get a gun. And when I moved out of Monroe, I sold the gun. I don't need a gun in here. I don't have, like you, I don't have anything worthwhile. I've got artwork that I love, but nobody else is going to like my artwork. And that's the only thing that's precious to me.
Yeah. Well, I told you that I was a chicken salesman for a company out of Arkansas.
Yeah.
And we were sitting around with several of the sales reps and other folks that live there. See, I live in Seattle, and I would just go there for the occasional meeting. And then I would have to stay in like the 3rd floor of a hotel because they got bugs, and I didn't want to get, have a snake wander in or whatever. Anyway, I was just paranoid. But in any event, so we were standing around talking, and I was saying, well, now what about, ding, 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 ding. Do you really, honestly, have those people that live here? And one guy said, I'm telling you, there's a road I just will not go down. It's a scary road down there. And there are people that I don't know that they've ever seen a car, let alone somebody else. But he's like, no, we've got our share of those kinds of folks that they live in a whole different environment. They live much closer to the earth. They eat things that you would make us puke and stuff like that. But he said, no, they're real, and they're there.
How interesting. Wouldn't you love to be able to just go into that world, like have the predator suit, be invisible, and then walk into that just to observe for a day, without judgment, because those people are raised there. That's their environment, and that's how they get by. And you could have your juice pack and some Pop Tarts or something that you like, and just snack on it and watch these people eat their frogs and squirrels and whatever else that they snack on, and how they spend their day. Because I'm sure they've got some wonderful music. I've heard those people jam.
I'm sure. I'm sure you got to do some with your time, I would imagine.
Yeah, you do.
But and then these folks that live in. Have you ever spent much time in the South?
Yeah, I have spent a little time in the South.
In the summer?
Yes.
Which state were you in?
Well, a number, but Tennessee, I remember significantly. Tennessee and Alabama.
Yeah. Now Alabama. Now the temperature there gets into the 90s with the humidity in the 90s.
100%, 100% humidity, 114 degrees.
Oh God.
You could take a shower, go outside, and not know you left the shower.
And people actually lived there, and people lived there 100 years ago when there was no air conditioning.
Yes.
It amazes me the resilience of the human spirit and what people are capable of, and under what conditions they're capable of living. It's like on a wagon train in the 800s, and the wagon train in the 1800s, when people were going through that and they'd gone to Oklahoma and stuff, and they say, okay, no, this is good enough, we'll stop. It's like, no, wait, Oregon's not that far. Really? You can go to Oregon and it's nice up there, but they don't get it. By the way, Paulette said,
hi, Paulette. Such a serial.
It's a pleasure having you, Paulette, because we're just having a really good time. As a matter of fact, you listen to this, and then I know you listen to Eric's. Do you listen to any of the other podcasts that I've put up? We'll wait for her to respond. Respond though she might. But in any event, it's a we live in weird times, and I really hope that we can get it together, and that's what well, tell me what you think about this. Do you think that the tagline, because and I will ask anybody's opinion on this, the tagline for my independence report is declaring our independence from hate, division, and fear. I've asked, somebody said that I should copyright that. What do you think?
Oh, hell yeah. Yes, you should. I mean, if Paris Hilton can copyright, what the hell did she copyright?
I don't know. Paris Hilton. I was thinking of Britney Spears. I know what she should have copyrighted.
Getting out of a Mercedes. Yeah.
You should have figured out how
one
to
leg
do
at
that.
a time. One leg at a time. Yeah. She has.
So Paulette, I know that you have listened to some. Do you like them, and do you have any suggestions for me? So this is your chance to get on your soapbox. So anyway, Paris Hilton, what did she do?
She copyrighted a phrase, and I can't remember what it was, but it was kind of a big deal because she was the first one to copyright a phrase. But you should definitely do that. You should definitely do that.
Well, because what I'm finding is that it really is resonating with people.
Well, it's a great phrase. It's a great phrase.
Coming from an author, I'll take that as being a high compliment.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it defines everything about your show. It defines everything about your attitude towards life. Do it.
Do it, baby. I've heard that before.
Do it.
Do it, man. So
do it.
No, I shall. By the way, what time do we have? Oh, we're getting close to. We've been doing this 40 minutes. Can you believe it?
Time flies, man.
Yes.
Time flies.
When do you want to introduce our new segment?
Oh, anytime you'd like. We should both get hats for that kind of thing.
well,
We should get hats for that.
well, go. I'll tell you what. You go get a hat, and I'll hold the fort. And then when you get your hat, I will go get my hat, and you hold the fort.
Why don't I get hats for both of us?
You don't live where I live, unless you can magically send it over. That would be good. By the way, we're talking with Eric Hall. He is a fellow bus driver and a really cool dude. And he's also an author in budding. He's written short stories. He's going to be writing a lot more. And it really is nice that that he's part of the show today. And there's Paulette doesn't have a soapbox, but I do have some very interesting guests. And, a lot of the folks that we have on, I'll talk about my independence report while he's doing that. Well, I guess I won't because he's done doing that. So, he's got a,
Yeah.
We've outed you. Are you wearing a supervisor hat?
No, this is a brand new hat that Metro is sponsoring because I just got new uniform stuff in January that I haven't worn yet.
Oh,
because they give us a stipend every year for uniforms.
Yep.
And over the last 3 years, I've built up a uniform stash where I just decided to accessorize myself this year with a number of things.
Do you want if you want more stuff? I've got plenty.
Oh, is that right? Your stuff would probably fit me just fine too.
What's your inseam?
Gosh, that's so personal.
I know.
I don't know. Let me get a wide angle lens here.
Do you remember the first? I remember when I was a kid, and I had to get a suit for some reason, and I think it was for a funeral or something. And so my mother and I went to Nordstrom to get fitted for a suit. And this woman grabbed me by the crotch virtually because she was checking my inseam. And it was like, I looked at my mom and she said, "That's okay. They do that here." It's like, oh, really?
Can we come back next week?
All right. Can I pick? Can I pick who is going to do my inseam? It's the same. It's the same thing as like when it's the same thing as like when you go to have your. What kills me too. Since we're on disgusting topics, there.
I know, right? We always seem to go there.
Every year or two, we are supposed to go and have a physical done to make sure we pass the physical so that we can continue to drive. It is CDL. Requirements and people do them differently in a physical. Some people just sit there and say they take your blood pressure and they ask how you're feeling. If you're feeling fine, that's like then you go home. But if with the medical stuff, they require them to do a little bit more, and sometimes a little bit more can be a little invasive.
They check your underwear.
Well, no, the underwear comes down and the backdrop goes down, and you go over the bed, and then you've got some guy go flap with his thing, and there you are. And I'll never forget, I had one of those experiences where the two doctors were outside my room going, "I don't want to do that. Do you? Will you?" I'll tell you what, I was looking for a Thursday off. I'll trade you Thursday.
Really? Oh my God.
I'll trade you Thursday for Friday if you go do that physical part.
No.
I don't want to do that.
Jeez.
So I heard
that's worse than being picked last for basketball, man.
It is. So I was sitting in there, and the doctor came in, and I said, "I heard your discussion. You're off the hook. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything." And he said, "Oh, you heard that, did you?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he said, "Well, sorry, but you can't blame me now, can you?" And I actually said, "Well, really, I guess no, I can't."
Oh, man.
God. Takes a special kind of guy to turn you around, bend you over, and then with excitement say, Your prostate is normal.
I know, right?
Okay. Well, you hold the fort, and I'll be right back.
Okay. So this is what it's like to hold the fort. Let's see. When was the last time I held the fort? I'm trying to think. And why would I hold the fort? I'm a Native American. That's not what we do. That's sort of a tragic thing. But anyway, this segment that we're going to talk about is bus drivers that get to know each other, and it's interesting because we develop pretty good friendships in a way that we've got only a few minutes to get to know each other, and we do. And some of these people, I think, because we have 5 minutes to get to know each other, see, we just accept them for who they are.
That's it. You know, I came up with that a long time ago because my mother and my sister said, "Well, how do you make friends?" Because I said, like, what as an example, you have Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday off, right?
Right.
What time do you report to work tomorrow?
6:09.
See, so when somebody says, wait a minute, you go to work at 6:09, why did you go to work at 6 or 6:15 or on the quarter hour? Explain why that is.
Well, because I have to be in at California Atlantic at 6:57 doing my first pickup.
So you've got to be so everybody's times are staggered.
That's right.
They've got 18 minutes to, basically, or a certain amount of time, depending on if it's a road relief, you're getting in a car, you got to take a bus, or to go, got to take a bus to go ride your bus.
That's right.
You know, but so you everything changes every shakeup, and you just had a shakeup. Now shakeups happen every 3 months, 3 times a year.
Yeah, 3 months, twice a year, every 3 months. So like a springtime, March, April, May, June, and then June, July, August. So in September, we start a 6-month drive until I think it's March, something like that. September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, March. So 6 month long. And I'm not sure why it's like that. Why we do 6 months and just why not 3-4 month periods in a year. The union arrived at that, as I understand it. That's okay with me. I think the shakeups are a good idea. I think they do that for a couple of reasons. It keeps us from being too locked into one route where we sort of just become automatic in our thinking, which then becomes easy to turn a lot of external input off, which creates a hazardous, as you might imagine, hazardous situation because we're not paying attention to everything that we really should. And 2, for our personal safety, because like we've been talking about, you know, the people out there that are a little bit off and buy guns and do things bad to people. If they know where that driver is going to be every day at every time, they may start hunting specific drivers. So if they shake it up a little bit, it's in our own safety to keep us moving around a little bit. That's my theory, but I think that's one that applies.
Well, I'll give you another theory is that in King County there are like 300 different bus routes. Wow. Somewhere's in there. On any given rush hour, there are 1,200 buses on the road. Not all bus routes are even or equal. There are some that are joyous to behold, and you have to have a lot of seniority to be able to pick those.
So true.
And there are some that are less than joyful, and some that are downright ugly.
Oh boy!
And so, if you have the opportunity, if you pick the same thing and you're stuck with it for the rest of time, you would probably say, "Screw this! I'm leaving," because now at least you can go. I only have to deal with this for 6 months or for 3 months or whatever.
That's,
you know, I've had people assaulted right in front of me on the A line, which is a nasty piece of work. And I would never pick that. I swore I would never pick that again, nor have I. So
I've done that route. I know what you're talking about.
So we as bus drivers, there are so many of us that you get, and the reason I was telling my mother about 5 minutes at a time is that, say for instance, as an example, tomorrow you're going to sign in at 09 and I'm going to sign in at 12. So you sign in and you're still there physically. When I sign in, because you've only been there a couple of moments, then we have 5 minutes or less to exchange thoughts, make comments, to do stuff before you go out to your bus or you go to your base car or whatever. So over the course of 5 or 6 months, you can develop a friendship with somebody based upon 5 minutes at a time. Because that's how and so we thought that would be kind of fun to play with on the show a little bit. And what do you think about that, huh?
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. A lot of fun.
Yes,
a lot of fun. Yeah.
So let me ask you before we begin that, have you made friends based on 5 minutes at a time?
Oh, sure. Yeah, in fact, there's a number of people. There's one guy that's deaf. He wears hearing aids, and I speak louder when he's around. But he and I would certainly say that he and I are friends now. Yeah, we have similar senses of humor, and we see each other around, and we have similar driving styles. I've seen him out on the same routes. We have similar seniority. So our routes are always, we're always leaving at about the same time on similar routes. And I see him on, he might be coming on a route that I'm leaving on and so forth. And here's something that not all bus drivers are as considerate to other bus drivers as maybe we'd all like to be.
No.
That's true. Some are, maybe they're not aware, maybe that they're hurried. Always, maybe that they're, just don't care about other people. I don't know, but some of us, we make an effort. If we see another bus, we'll make room for that other bus rather than, crowding a corner. We see them coming and we know that they're going to get to that corner first. We back so they can clear that corner. Or if it's a tight arterial and there's cars parked on both sides and have room to pull over, we'll pull over, let the other bus by. There's all these things that you can do. And some drivers are better doing that than others. And he and I are both good at making room when the other one has, priority or whatever you call it, first come, first serve, because both he and I have been first come, first serve at different points in time. And that's been perfectly apparent to both of us, so we, wave at each other and, thumbs up, thanks for thinking of it, that sort of thing. And, it works,
Sometimes it works. But sometimes it just doesn't work so good.
No.
You know who Ron White is?
Yes. He's that comedian with the scotch and the cigar.
Every time I say this line, I have to give him credit because I didn't write it. I didn't say it, but I do say it. But because like he says in his skit, that's I got thrown out of a bar in New York City. One of the lines he uses on there is I have the right to remain silent, but I didn't have the ability.
I know.
So I have to give him credit for that. One time I was standing at the window. I just signed in and was waiting for my time to go. And a young African-American gal with attitude, sometimes they just naturally have attitude, came in, signed in, and then she looked at the mail and stuff, and she said, well, this is going to be a fucking lousy day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what I said. And I said, I said, it's hard when your day starts off that bad, so I hope it gets better for you. And she looked at me and said, what are you getting in my business for? I'm sure.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So there are times when you, even in your 5 minutes, you need to make sure. And so for the rest of that shakeup, Every time she would walk in, I got glared at.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She was determined that, and there was a chief standing right there, and because she went outside and she brought another fella in and was talking about somebody's getting in my business and talking about my business to this other guy, and then pointed me out. And
Good
so
Lord.
the chief had to call her over to say we don't, because he'd heard what I said, and what I said was, it's better to have a nice day than to start and it was trying to be positive and stuff, and she wasn't having any of it, and so she was, it was funny because the guy that she brought in with him, I'm friendly with, big tall guy, and he said, I can't believe that was him. He hardly says anything to anybody. Talking about me, and but there are sometimes you have to be very careful, even when you're in the bus. And of course, I have trouble keeping my mouth shut. That's why I do this. I think.
I've been known to have an opinion or two myself, and I sometimes don't keep them to myself.
But you do it from a place of positivity and love, don't you?
Oh, always, Kevin. Everybody that knows me knows that I always have something positive to say.
even if it doesn't come out as positive, it still is. You're still trying to put something out there that the rest of humanity can hang on and not choke on. Are you? Is there
lightning? I was just looking for lightning.
Oh, speaking of which, before I got to tell you this. Did you hear about this story?
Which one?
It happened day before yesterday. A gal, she is on the Olympic team for surfing.
No.
22 years old.
I didn't know we had an Olympic surfing team.
She's not from here. She's from Australia, I believe it is.
Okay.
And she was on the beach, sunny day, and talking to a friend from somewhere. Lightning came out of the sky, hit her, and killed her.
You're kidding me.
No, 22 years old. I read that yesterday and was like, holy crap.
That's horrible.
It is. It's horrible. And so that's why you got to have laughter and love in your life, because I'll tell you, you just don't know.
Wow, that is unfair.
Yeah, 22, beautiful kid, very talented as a surfer, and was on because the Olympics this year are having surfing for the first time. So she was going to be a first-time Olympic surfer, and now she's not. And it's just so.
God, that's heartbreaking, man.
It really is. It really is. And so that, coupled with the shooting that killed 8, the shooting that killed 10, we're having 100 shootings a year. We have 100 people. We have people dying of overdoses and stuff. I could really make myself depressed if I had a mind to.
Well, it's left me speechless. I don't know what to say.
I know you weren't expecting that. I just had to,
goddamn Zeus.
Yeah, I know, because and that's again is one of those moments in time that you'll never get back. And in her case, it killed her instantly, and they don't know. It wasn't thundering and lightning, and there wasn't a lot of. It was pretty clear. So that was just really strange.
Wow, that is bizarre.
But it's just like the bus driver that was driving down the road, and all of a sudden he saw a guy with a gun that started to shoot at him, and he fortunately had the frame of mind to back up the bus and to get out of there, which was and he still was shot. And so you never know. How do you deal with? I'm just curious because this is one of those things that we would have a conversation with 5 minutes before we leave. How do you deal with the stuff like that? That is so random and it can happen to you at any given time.
I put it out of my mind. I put it so far out of my mind. It's like I put it in another world. It's like eating. It would be like eating sushi in Kenya. It's just not going to happen in my lifetime.
You're going to have snake there, but you're not going to have sushi.
I'm not going to have sushi in Kenya. I can pretty much guarantee that's not an experience I'm going to have. And if I get shot driving a bus, I don't know what the percentage of of chance that's going to be. I guess that's possible, but what's the probability of that?
Very, very low. We're very lucky.
I've had some people threaten me, and the people that I've looked at that have threatened me, one guy looked as dangerous as Don Knotts soaking wet. The other guy, he did look a little bit dangerous, but my reaction to such things is so non-threatening and so unmoved by somebody that threatens me. I can't imagine that they would feel threatened to react.
What could you possibly do to somebody to make them threaten you?
See, that's the thing. You know, I'm not the kind of person, I'm not one of these authoritative people, do what I say, God damn it, people. So that doesn't put me in a position of conflict enough where people want to shoot me or hit me. It just doesn't. I don't care if people pay. I don't. I care if people wear a mask. I ask them to wear a mask. I'm obnoxious about it lately, where I've pulled the bus over and I will open up the doors and I play that PA that says, you know, it's federally mandated that you wear a mask. And I've announced to people that don't listen to it and say, you know, I'm not going to move the bus until you put your mask on. Put it on properly, and then we'll move forward. And people do, you know, there's peer pressure now to wear the mask. I've done that because everybody's in danger, and I figure I've got to take responsibility for other people's lives. But other than that, I don't care if people pay. If people are playing their music loud, that bothers me. But they're on the bus for maybe 5-10 minutes. I'm not going to let it bother me that much. If they're complaining that the bus is too hot or too cold, I compliment, boy, that's a nice coat you got. And they're on the bus for 5 or 10 minutes. I could keep them talking for 5 or 10 minutes till they leave the bus, if I have to. Otherwise, I ignore them. You know, so in other words, I'm saying in a very subtle way, I try to outwit them. I try to, you know, what do they say? I cool down the situation. I don't try to escalate. I de-escalate the situation. That's all I try to do. Otherwise, I ignore it. I de-escalate or I ignore it. Doesn't exist unless you acknowledge it.
That like I said, I have the ability to remain silent. No, I have the right to remain silent, but sometimes I just don't have the ability.
Exactly. Ron White he's a philosopher of our era.
He really is, because I'll tell you, there are times when I just can't shut up to save my life.
Tater salad is onto something.
Yeah, and it makes it really, really hard when somebody does something that is so outlandishly stupid, and then you have to try and ignore it. And then, you know, I was thinking about this as I was following a bus yesterday going, I really don't want to be responsible for anybody anymore, because it's hard when you have to be responsible for, you got 50 people on a bus and you got somebody that is being an idiot on the bus, and you're trying and you have to try and protect the other people from that guy and stuff. It's just no, thank you. I'm just as soon do this. I just as soon do this. So,
well, you're doing what you're best at. This is your calling, man.
Well, as it is for you too, because I'm going to make you do this more. Paulette, should I make you do this more? Let's see what she says. I got a feeling I know what she's going to say, but at least I'm guessing. But I think that you should on every Wednesday we're going to talk about the shows that I've done and some of the things that we're about and stuff, and because you are a nice breath of fresh air. You're actually normal. Not that my guests are not normal. They're all
What did you say? What did you say?
I said you're normal. Kind of.
Okay. Thank you. I don't ever hear that. I recorded that. I knew you were going to say it. And I recorded it. I got to play it when people, in fact, I'm going to put it as a PA tomorrow on the bus.
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
I get that cross look. Somebody looks at me. I got to. You are normal.
Now, sadly, I have to report that Paulette apparently is not as enamored with you as I thought.
Yes. Look at that.
There she is.
Oh.
She wants you to do more stuff with me because we actually do pretty well. We're pretty funny. And I appreciate it. So, but we've been doing this for an hour. We're going to have to put off our 5-minute escapade till next time. I don't know how we that. It was my idea. Paulette said, I never said that. I'm just kidding you, Paulette. I know that you're a friend of Eric's, and I really appreciate you listening. I really do.
So do I. Thank you, Paulette.
It's great having you here. Is there anything that you would like to tell the world?
Keep wearing the mask. Keep wearing your mask. I got vaccinated yesterday. My first shot.
How did it feel? Were you okay?
I felt great most of the day. And then it came about 5:30, and I just shut down. Man. Oh. But I did quite a bit of stuff yesterday. I felt I may have overdone it. Did a lot of stuff around the house, some yard work and some stuff out in the shop. And it came time about 5:00. Man, I couldn't even finish a movie. I just turned it off and I went to sleep.
Really?
So, yeah, I think I was out by 6:30.
Wow.
Yeah, I woke up at 1:30 and I think I was, I was okay by 1:30 a.m.
Now, do you have to get the second shot?
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
Oh, very good. Now, I haven't gone to get that shot yet, and I'm kind of debating as to whether I should wait until all you guys have it done, and then I'll go do it. But
don't wait. There's no reason.
I don't see anybody anyway. So, I don't see anybody anyway.
Still.
Yeah, you're right.
You could get a random molecules exist.
Oh God, that's terrible. I mean, excuse me, Doc. I seem to have random molecules. What?
You're coming apart. Woo. Ever wave your hand in front of a TV? Check it out, man.
It's magical. It's magic. I have molecules that seem to be parts of me are just falling off.
That's right. So,
I'm not going to mention. Well, never mind.
Don't.
At that point, we'll just have kind of overdone it. So, Eric Hall,
Kevin McDonald,
you're going to have to write something for us for next time, and then we're going to start our 5-minute making a friend 5 minutes at a time.
Sounds good.
So, anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. I mean, all kinds of things, but we're out of time. We'll save it for next week.
Okay. And although we could do it,
white people stop killing people.
Yes, please do.
Yes,
please do. And if you are full of hate, division, and fear, you need to leave. Quite frankly, we have no use for you anymore.
That's right.
Some of us are going to get a little militant about this because if you're full of hate, division, and fear, I don't want to see you around anybody that I know.
Excellent.
So, because that has no positivity and no bearing in life, and if you want to go sit in the woods with somebody in Arkansas that hasn't had a bath in a month, that's up to you. Go do that. Stay away from people that I love and that love me, because I don't want. If you're full of hate, division, and fear, forget about it.
Forget it.
Just forget about it. Eric Hall, thank you so much. We will see you next Wednesday at
Thank
noon.
you, Kevin.
Tell your friends.
Bye, Kenya. Thank you, Kevin.
You, sir, have yourself a wonderful day. Now, you've got the rest of today off, and then you have to go back to the salt mine tomorrow.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to try to mow the lawn without getting hit by lightning.
That would be good.
Okay.
That would be good. Take care of yourself, my friend. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.